Hey trainers, it's time to level up, because today we're showcasing the ultimate toxic menace Alolan Muk. This opponent's Muk packs a punch with Moody, making every stat change unpredictable and dangerous. Watch how it can flip the battle in an instant. I've used Alolan Muk in Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee competitively, and to this day I think it's incredible. But what do you think about its design or its competitive edge? Drop me a comment down below and let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Alolan Muk and Smeargle. The Dark Artist leads among the slimy goo. This can't be good. I've got Stone Joiner and Annihilate to lead. As always, if you're enjoying the video, rate, comment, subscribe. Go ahead and like the video and leave your comment down below and let me know what you think of Alolan Muk. What generation you liked it in, what generation you caught it in, or when you were introduced to it in the beginning. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started. Now, first off, I've got a pretty good setup here. If he wants to Terrasilize, hopefully it'll be a type that I can deal with. Now, the biggest problem is that his Smeargle can Spore, which I know at some point I have to turn Stone Joiner into Grass, but I'm very, very reluctant to do so, as then I am then super affected by any of Muk's attacks, and it really doesn't matter what type I Terrasilize into, because if this thing has Toxic with Minimize, it's going to be annoying automatically. He starts off the battle by going ahead and going for a Minimize here, as the Moody is on the Smeargle here, for our first boost of our Moody Trials and Tribulations of Glory. The Smeargle gets a sharp attack raise, and I'm seeing, okay, I put a pretty good amount of damage into this thing with Stone Joiner. I'm going to go out to a Rangaroo because I know at some point I might actually need the Trick Room up, or maybe like an Instruct Earthquake depending on what my opponent wants to go for. I'm going to go ahead and Terrasilize Stone Joiner into the Grass type so that I don't have to be worried about being hit by the Spore. I forget what item I actually have onto my Rangaroo here. He goes for the Wide Guard, and that means now that this thing has the Wide Guard, God, I knew this thing was a Dark Artist and it had creative strategies, and it has the perfect repertoire and arsenal to deal with what I've got going on here. So, this thing gets to Minimize for free again. Luckily, no Terrasalization so far, so that means so far we are good to just bash this thing into oblivion. Let's see what kind of boost Moody's going to get this time. This time it's going to be a Special Defense Sharply Raised boost. Now, it doesn't matter all too much that all of these boosts are happening, except for one thing. Has anybody caught on to it yet? Let me know in the comment section. I'm going to go ahead and go for a Trick Room. I'm not sure why. I guess I feel like Stone Joiner and Rangaroo are both slower than Smeargle and Alolan Muk respectively, but he Terrasalizes Alolan Muk into the Grass type. That means even if the Smeargle doesn't Wide Guard, now the Earthquake is not going to be doing that effective of damage onto this thing at all. I decided to go for a Protect here, as I'm assuming the Spore goes into this. Yeah, okay, I have a Mental Herb to block Taunt and stuff, not Safety Goggles to block Spore. I could not remember if it was Safety Goggles or the other item, which is the Mental Herb, which makes sense. I do have that Terrasilize Dark type as well to do more damage with Foul Play. However, in this particular circumstance, I am Terrasalized in with Stone Joiner. There's another sharp attack raise and speed drop onto the Smeargle, and the only good thing right now is that Stone Joiner can do effective damage and knock out Smeargle, which you would think would be a good thing, because this Muk is going to be very, very hard to hit. In comes the Wide Guard, so now my Stone Joiner is completely rock blocked off. There's no Rock Slides, there's no Earthquake. I have no single target attack that I can go into and knock out Smeargle or knock out the Muk. So finally, after the knockoff comes through onto my Stone Joiner and I lose my Focus Sash, my Rangaroo's already asleep, or I would have already knocked Smeargle out myself or set up the Trick Room. Now this thing has Leftovers instead of Black Sludge, which makes sense considering it Terrasalized. If it would have had the Black Sludge, it would be taking damage every turn, and normally it would make sense in the Poison typing, but it also makes even more sense that he changed the item, knowing that he would Terrasilize the Pokemon. We are not doing well. My best idea here is to hit everything so that I'm faster. I set up the Trick Room so I'm faster than Smeargle, and then knock the Smeargle out once my Rangaroo can actually attack. In comes the Wide Guard. Here comes another knockoff, but a Rangaroo goes down in one hit. It is a critical hit, unfortunately, and that stab knockoff, Alolan Muk actually still has a really decently high attack stat for what it is, even in base attack, so it definitely does plenty. I was talking about using it in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee before. It makes a perfect Pokemon in the infested metagame of like Double Mewtwo and things like that. It just does a lot of good damage and a lot of type coverage with the Dark type and Poison type in that particular metagame. I'm going to bring in Tyranitar, which once again is going to be messed up by Smeargle. The only thing I can do is knock off and knock the Smeargle out, unless he wants to go ahead and Spore, which I'm glad he doesn't, because that gives Tyranitar an opportunity to finally put the end on the Smeargle, which means I will be able to do spread damage again once the Smeargle goes down. So that works out really, really well. As the Wide Guard comes through, I go for knockoff and end the Smeargle's life. That is done. However, we've started a new chapter. The chapter of the power of alchemy. A world of absolute chaos. A world of muck! Or toxic, in this case, going into the Tyranitar. And at this point, I was like, okay, I can do damage to this thing. This thing is worn down. It doesn't have any boosts other than evasion. I gotta hit this thing, and I gotta hit him now. He's almost back to full HP with leftovers, while my two Pokemon offensively are standing pretty strong. And my thought process was, okay, depending on his Moody boost, which he gets an attack raise first, I was like, alright, I've got Power Spot, and I've also got Helping Hand. But now Flamigo comes in, and guess what? Flamigo is the best co-star, as it now gets that attack raise, that double attack, but it loses that double attack because of the White Herb, so that works out really, really nicely. It's at neutral attack. However, because Stonejourner is already Grass type, it's in very, very high danger from being knocked out by a Brave Bird, and there isn't a whole lot that I can do. I decide to come into Annihilate Pokemon. I'm going to wake up as the Detect comes through for the Flamigo, and I'm sure he's just going to Toxic my Stonejourner, and I see that coming. I'm going to go ahead and Protect here, and as his Muk protects, so he doesn't set up the Toxic. That's good. I guess he figures Brave Bird is strong enough to knock out Stonejourner from this range. I'm hoping Stonejourner's base defense is enough to take a Brave Bird, because yes, it did get a double attack raise, but then it lost the double attack raise through the White Herb. So my idea is to swap out Annihilate into the Tyranitar, as unfortunately the defense boost is exactly what the Muk gets this time. I was like, okay, so if I swap out Annihilate into Tyranitar, I can residually wear down Flamigo, and then I can do damage as well. But for some reason I don't switch out Annihilate. I guess I'm more worried thinking he will Brave Bird the Stonejourner, which he does, and that does a lot of damage to the likes of Tyranitar. Unfortunately, Annihilate is asleep. It would have been really, really nice to knock that Flamigo out. The knockoff is not super effective. The Punching Glove gets knocked off. That means my Annihilate will now be doing less damage to his other Pokemon. And ladies and gentlemen, that's why Power of Alchemy, I guess it kind of fell off. We haven't seen it in a while. It wasn't, abilities weren't in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. I don't remember if Muk was in Sword and Shield. I know it is in Scarlet and Violet now. But, you know, sometimes you've got players that use those Minimize and Toxic Protect strategies, and they do work for some players, of course. But this is a very, very rough situation, Annihilate being asleep. My idea now here is to go for a Protect, thinking that he will want to Brave Bird into the Annihilate. I should have protected Annihilate and Rock Slided with Flamigo. Well, actually, or with Tyranitar. However, it doesn't really matter here because that knockoff does knock out the Annihilate. But I do still have Stonejourner. But now Stonejourner and Tyranitar are in range to die from this Flamigo. However, this Flamigo is set up. So unfortunately, we are going to have the rocks fall on us as another boost comes through with the Muk. Let's see what it is this time. Also, Tyranitar is slowly dying to the Toxic, as another Moody comes through with special attack raises and the defense falls, but it's already at like +2 in like 3 or 4 stats. And from this point, I usually take any and every loss like a man. But I feel very sour about this one. Something just isn't settling on my stomach. Oh yeah, it's probably Muk. Take care, rate, comment, sub. See you guys soon.